Greetings, my name is Jason Marcellus, and welcome to my office. There's a video that I've been tagged in, and I would like to talk about it. Here it is.
Like, why hasn't jazz been considered like cool for a long time for a younger audience?
To tackle this question, I would like to start with the answer that was given by vocalist Laufey.
My theory behind that is that it's just been kind of gatekept. I think it's something that's really scary for young audiences to approach. It's something that seems like it's only for an older generation, or like the barriers to entry are so high. You feel like you need to be educated in jazz music to even speak about it.
Now, some of that clip comes across as victimization. I don't think that was the intention, but when you get into, we don't know what to do with the music, and we don't know how to listen to this, and we don't know that, that's what I mean by victimization. Now, not all of this is their fault. If you look at how the music has been portrayed in media from 1960 on, you never really see it. It's never in movies, it's never in television. And then when the late 90s happened and the Telecommunications Act got passed, more corporations started buying up radio stations and buying television stations. So you have a generation that starts seeing the same television shows and they start hearing the same music. So I can understand when you hear music like this, it can be a shock. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that there are most kids that can't watch hand-drawn animated films because they're so used to CGI? Yeah, this relates to this subject.
Jazz music was created in the first place as kind of like a deviation from rules and something that was meant to be free and for everyone. So the fact that it's become something that feels like it isn't for everyone is kind of sad, actually, and I think is the death of the genre.
As far as this music being about breaking the rules, that's a little misleading. Unless you mean breaking the rules of slavery and Reconstruction, because black people had their rights and their culture taken from them. So they had to create a music that was theirs, that represented themselves and was a celebration of their greatness. I guess that's the breaking of rules. Now, ironically, this was a music that was a dance music in the 1920s and the 1930s. But in the 1940s, you get these musicians playing this cool new music represented by musicians such as Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. Ironically, that leads to, I guess, what most would call elitism. This new music that audiences don't really understand when it first starts, and you had a lot of swing musicians that didn't like it. And so, ironically, there was a certain intimidation that started when you have this new music that isn't really understood. And as time went on, it started to become more abstract and more complex, to the point where when you get to the 1960s and you get to the music that John Coltrane and Miles Davis were creating at the time, you had audiences that just didn't understand it. When Miles Davis recorded his Philharmonic Hall concert that produced his albums Four and More and My Funny Valentine in 1964, 3 days removed from that event, the Beatles appeared on Ed Sullivan. So yeah, the days of this music being for young people were over.
Is it felt like it's not for everyone because even the thought of instruments is less accessible than a computer?
This is an interesting statement about technology. Computers aren't cheap, but we're all going to have them because we all need them. But there's a reality that hadn't come up, and that's computers. You can turn a computer on and you can get started and you can open up programs that deal with music and you can sort of figure out things that the technology has there. But when you're dealing with a musical instrument like a trumpet or a piano or a saxophone, even though those may be expensive, you have to put a lot of time into that instrument. You're not just going to get it in a month or 2 months. Like, it's going to take you years to really master that instrument. And there's some people that have a hard time with that. And if they can't master it soon enough, well, if they see someone that masters this, then they will call them elitists. That is very much a strong possibility.
You can just pick up a trumpet today.
No, not at all. It's expensive. There's lots of barriers to entry.
When it comes to expensive, I need to add some context here. Years ago, I would often hear people say, well, folks want to go to jazz concerts, but the prices for the concert tickets are expensive. To which then they would be asked, well, how much does it cost to go to the rap concert or to the R&B concert? At that point, the conversation would go silent. And to be fair, I haven't heard that excuse in many years. Why? Because of tours named Renaissance. As for gatekeeping, a term that I'd never heard until I joined the app TikTok, Here's an interesting statement.
Gen Z, young audiences don't want to listen to what adults tell them to do. They just want to listen to someone their own age telling them what to do.
Now that, my friends, is the real gatekeeping. Let me know if you have any questions.